Hello everyone and welcome back to another very exciting chess game by Wilhelm Steinitz, and his opponent was Lindsay, and this was also from a Wilhelm Steinitz blindfolded chess simul, 6-board chess simul from 1867. So let's see what happened. Steinitz starts the game with e4, c5, the Sicilian defense, and we have open Sicilian and then e6, and this is known as the Taimono variation of the Sicilian defense. So bishop to e2, bishop to b4, pinning the knight, and Steinitz castled, and then developing the knight, the bishop, and black castled f4. So basically Steinitz wants to open the game from the f-file, pushing the pawn is possible, and liberating the rook. So bishop takes on c3, giving up the bishop very early, but damaging the pawn structure, pluses and minuses. d5, e5, closing. So black wanted to open the game, but Steinitz is closing the game. So knight takes and then bishop takes on d4, queen to c7. So basically Wilhelm Steinitz has the bishop here, bishop to d3 and aiming the king. So the queen can also jump, but in this position there is no immediate threat, but maybe black was a little bit too intimidated against Steinitz and he pushed the pawn f5, and I put question mark next to this move. What is the purpose of this move? Well, this is actually helping white because we have en passant, and black can't capture back with the rook, which is going to be very bad because bishop takes rook is possible, I think. So black has to capture with the g-pawn, and black is weakening his king with opening the king. So basically I can easily say that f5 was a disastrous move against Steinitz. Which move was better? Well, simple chess, developing the bishop, bishop to d7 should have been considered. But in this position, after bishop to d3, we have f5, question mark, and then en passant. G takes on f6, queen to h5, a very strong move by blindfolded Steinitz, going after the king without wasting any time. f5, so of course, threatening checkmate, queen takes on h7, and closing the bishop with pushing the pawn f5. If knight to g6, then lifting the rook up and swinging the rook to g3, and black is not going to be able to stop this attack. Bishop takes knight was also possible. I believe that would also be a strong move, but this is even stronger. When you see a good move, look for a better one. So in this position, rook to f7 is also possible maybe for defending, but then queen to h6, let's say b5, and rook to f3, and you can see that rook over is possible and white is building a very strong attacking position. So in here, after queen to h5, maybe black is forced to play this move, but this is also ugly. So rook over, looking at the backwards pawn, potentially both of the rooks could be lifted for the attack. Steinitz could lift the e-rook or the f-rook, so he can attack the opened king, which has poor pawn cover. So you can see that the pawn cover of the king has been destroyed, and this dark square is also looking extremely weak. So knight to g6, rook to f3 by Steinitz, and then rook to f7. Well, actually so far, of course, Lindsay didn't play it perfectly. He didn't play it like a modern chess grandmaster. But in here, of course, let's not forget Steinitz was blindfolded, so his chess was so accurate and precise, which is very impressive. So if knight takes on f4, this was the idea of Steinitz. Rook to g3, a very strong move. So the king can't escape because of the bishop and also because of the queen. So if knight to g6, boom. And then boom, and basically black is getting checkmated. And if king to f7, double check, discovered check, checkmate. So rook to f3, and we have rook to f7. And then rook to g3, another very strong move, the strongest move actually. The immediate threat is, can you see the threat? Well, let me show you what happens if queen takes on f4. This is not what happened in the game. But then rook takes on g6 was the idea of Steinitz, checkmate. So threatening to take the knight. So this is why unpinning, desperately escaping, and also this diagonal, like I said before, it was very dangerous. But then here comes another very accurate move. That's check, queen to h6, king to e7. If king to g8, then we still have rook takes on g6, and then black is getting mated. So king to e7 and then check, king to e8. If king to f8, then bishop back, and then bishop to h5 is also possible. But black didn't play that. Black played king to e8, and this is losing very quickly. Bishop takes on f5, and black's position is collapsing. Pawn is pinned, so knight to e7, but then bishop takes on e6. Everything is falling apart. Disaster everywhere. Rook takes bishop, king to d7, unpinning the knight and defending on d5 with the knight. But white has a bone-crushing move in this position at this critical moment. Can you guess the next move of white? Let me give you 3 seconds. If you want, you can also pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. So this was the move. Rook takes on e7, a bone-crushing attack. This was the final knockout punch, and Lindsay resigned. Very impressive, accurate chess by Steinitz when he was blindfolded against 6 players simultaneously. So of course, we should all agree that the king can't move, because then we can basically capture the queen. So what else? Rook takes, but then queen takes on d5. This is why he eliminated the defender of the d-pawn. So if king goes back, then rook up, checkmate. And if king goes to c8, then we have rook check, and then black is getting checkmated again. There is no defense. And after landing on d5, what happens if blocking with the queen? If queen to d6, then this is what Steinitz saw with his third eye, I have to say. Queen takes on b7, forking the king and the rook. And this is also losing. White has 4 pawns, and white is a piece up. What an impressive, what a beautiful chess game by Wilhelm Steinitz. I can't stress this enough. He was blindfolded, and yet he played very, very precise. Very impressive. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care and bye-bye.